Hello, hello, hello. This is Joelle, and I'm the Vibrarian. I'm just going to give it a second or two here to see if folks pop on. If you can let me know that the sound is okay. Oh, I'm about to probably get some feedback. Oh, here we are. That's my little test. I always get the little echo. So, my name is Joelle, and I am the Vibrarian. I am here to elevate, enlighten, and empower. I am undertaking those things for my own journey, and I come on here to share that with you in hopes that it will also elevate, enlighten, and empower you for where you are on your journey as well. So I am here today. I'm still down in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Have been here for a few weeks now, and I felt guided to come on to deliver a message, an oracle message, what can come through me from the divine for all of us in relationship to the solar activations that we are currently experiencing. So if you're following the Sky Watchers and the Solar Watchers, they have all been talking about how much energy we have been experiencing in just the last 48 hours. Lots of filaments erupting from the sun, plasma eruptions, and of course the scientists track those things as they come onto the planet, and there are a variety of conversations that happen about what the impact of those waves are, from things like earthquakes or volcanic disruptions, storms, things of that nature. So it's always interesting to experience, and many of us might feel things like heart palpitations or experience ascension symptoms when there's been a strong solar activation. I'll share with you a little bit about what I experienced here. It was very interesting because the electricity went off in this particular grid where I am staying, which is like the central tourist area of Playa del Carmen. And it was off, electricity was off for many businesses, but the internet was off with one of the main service providers. So since Playa has become this hub for digital nomads, people were like running around everywhere trying to find cyber cafes or places where they could log on to do their work. And finally, at a certain point of the evening, I think folks just gave up and just went outside and went to the pool, went to the beach, just kind of took themselves out of the office into nature. So I thought that that was an interesting outcome of like what was a very disruptive experience for many people who were needing to conduct business. But the overall energy was like, you take it in stride and you're here in paradise. So just go out and do something. I myself went to the beach yesterday, and it was amazing because it was not overly hot, and it had been very, very hot and humid for the last few days. But it was like the weather broke and there was a beautiful breeze. The waves were actually very, very choppy. I didn't get in the water very much just because it was seeming like it was going to be kind of challenging to manage the waves and things, but it was gorgeous and it was perfect for sleeping. So I wound up being out there like 2 or 3 hours after a nice long stroll, and I kept turning myself over so that I would not, get overly crispy on one side, right? But I just found myself really unable to keep my eyes open, and I went to sleep. And it was, I know that I was just feeling, I could feel through my crown and my eyeballs and my eyelids. I could feel just like a flowering and opening, and I really just embodied that and asked to receive any activations that my physical vessel could hold at that time. And then when I came home in the evening time, it was like I really needed to go to sleep at that point, to sleep for real, for real. And so to go to sleep early was a beautiful thing, just to be free to kind of allow my body to do what it wanted to do. So it was interesting that I needed to sleep after my nap, right? It's kind of interesting, but that speaks to the level of kind of activation that I was receiving cellularly from being out in the sun on for that particular cycle. So I wanted to get messages from the guidance that I have from the Sacred Geometry Oracle, and then also from the Galactic Heritage cards, simply because I thought, well, if we're getting energy from the galaxy, and if it has scientific impact, sacred geometry is all about the science of the mathematics of our reality. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to see what guidance wanted to come in about what we potentially are activating and experiencing on a planetary level. So this Sacred Geometry by Phoenix Gateways is the artist and author Emily Kisvarda. It's interesting because Phoenix is associated with death and rebirth. The phoenix that bursts into flames and comes from the ashes arises a new phoenix. And if any of you watched the Harry Potter series, I think it was Dumbledore's Phoenix Fox winds up, doing that cycle of death and rebirth and coming out as a baby phoenix as well. But it also speaks to Scorpio energy, which is about death and rebirth, and we are in the Scorpio energy right now. So that is also very timely in terms of us going into the watery underworld of our emotions and bringing forth that which needs to be seen, transforming it into something new. I did have the last couple of days very active dream time, not necessarily pleasant dream time too. It was very much like running from fears and confronting fears. In one dream, I was in a big lagoon and there were sharks, and I was trying to swim to avoid the sharks, and also like shooing the sharks away, or like punching them away, like get away, and trying to get up onto this pier, and then also dragging people out of the water from that, so they would dragging them to safety was part of that. So like that spoke to me so much of things in the emotional world that we might be afraid of, that are fearful to us, that helping others to come up out of that emotional space of something being triggered, and assisting others with coming into safety and into community, away from the harm or perceived harm or threat that was being shown to you. And in my case, in the form of a shark, not a baby shark either, like full-grown shark. So I don't know, we'll see what else comes forward with that spiritual kind of dream time astral realm experience that I was having. If you've had any shark medicine, shark knowledge to share, please put it in the comments, because I'm always curious to see what the symbolism and unpacking that. So I've already shuffled the cards here a little bit, and I'm going to give it another shuffle here, and we'll get 2 cards from this Sacred Geometry deck from Phoenix Gateways. And again, Gateway, if we're getting ready for the 11/11 portal on November 11th, then that is definitely energy of transformation coming forward. It's a powerful day and a powerful opportunity for us. So let's see what this gateway and the solar codes that are coming in are bringing opportunity for in this time and space. So let's see here. All right, so on the top of the deck we have here, wow. It's so funny because I saw this and I said, well, if it meant to come out, it will come out. And so here it is. And again, we're all about this orange energy. I was guided to like really embody that in my appearance today, just bringing in the golden orange sacral connections. And so here we have this hexahedron, nurture and create, which is card number 17. And what does this say? Oh, the platonic solids. Okay, so before we go into the bottom card, I always love to get the reveal in parts because that's what makes it so fun. So let me see if I can find this guidance here. Card number 17. 17 is one of those numerical synchronicities as well that I was just chatting with a sister friend about today. So we know that the sacral chakra is where we are bringing forth our creative visions, and that is where we nurture our ideas and seeds before birthing them out into the world. So let's see what this orange hexahedron says. I allow myself to experience and express the joy that lies within me. When this card arises, it's time to allow yourself to express the joy and pure essence of what you are here to create. It is not only the joy of creation to be, but the happiness of childhood memories and the feeling of protection and guidance that has been given and shown to us from a loving and supporting upbringing. It is also based on the relationship with ourselves and friendship from others. Nurture yourself and listen to the needs and wants your body craves to keep you feeling alive. The essence of our creativity and the ability to give birth, both physically and mentally, are imperative here. So I love that because one of the most playful things to do is to go to the beach and to play in the sand and to play in the water and to disconnect from, disconnect from the responsibilities of life. To me, the Wi-Fi outage is like having a snow day, right? Instead of feeling it as a frustration experience, allow it to be a moment when your disruption provides an opportunity for you to be responsibilityless in terms of how children just go play and they don't think about anything else other than what they're creating in their imaginary tea party or building their sand castles and playing with their friends, real and imaginary. It's a very childlike way of experiencing the world. So that's beautiful. The sacred geometry of this cube or hexahedron is one of the 5 platonic solids. It has 6 faces and works with the element of earth and can be used at earth star, base, and sacral chakras. Within creation, the cube is formed at the formation of 8 cells. The dual of the cube is the octahedron. 2 tetrahedrons can sit perfectly within a cube. 2 tetrahedrons placed together creates the Merkaba, or 3-dimensional Star of David. The cube, in actuality, can contain all 4 other platonic solids. The only other shape to do this is the sphere. This is when all vertices of each shape touch the inner wall of the cube and sphere. When working with these geometries, it is universally accepted that straight lines are masculine and curved lines are feminine. Thus, the cube is male and the sphere is female. When you look at the 3-dimensional projection of the cube, you see a hexagon. The hexagon is also the shape of snowflakes and beehives. It is considered perfect packing. If you truncate the cube, you will end up with the vector equilibrium or cuboctahedron. Whew. This shape is fundamentally a geometry of perfect equilibrium and the primary shape behind the torus. The base chakra represents sexuality, creativity, emotions, desires, addictions, birth of ideas and giving birth, issues of worth and your body. Ambition and drive are also indicated, and control issues can arise in this center. Our intuition starts within this chakra. I do think that this is a mistype in here because this isn't the root chakra, is the base chakra. The sacral chakra, I don't think is called the base chakra. So I'm going to go with sacral chakra and make an editorial shift here. Sexuality, creativity, emotions, desires, addictions, birth of ideas and giving birth, issues of worth in your body. Ambition and drive are also indicated, and control issues can arise in this center. Our intuition starts within this chakra. The practical application of this energy is to allow yourself to experience the sexuality and the drive that is innate within us. Meditate on the color orange. Let your hair down and dance as if no one is watching. It's time to nurture the expressive and artistic abilities you have been brewing inside of you. We all have a gift, whether it's through writing, art, performing arts, or even speaking. Expressing yourself in your chosen talent allows you to feel the joy and pleasure you deserve. If you have experienced childhood abuse, even as an adult, it is important to get the help you need, whether it be via complementary therapies or seeking out a good counselor. It is time to heal the past. If you are pregnant, nurture, nourish, and love yourself and the divine soul you will soon give birth to. And if you are pregnant with plans and seeds of creation, the same guidance applies to nourish, nurture, and love yourself so that you will be in the most healthy state for the divine creation that you are bringing forward into the world. The numerology of this card is 4, and its crystals are carnelian, tangerine quartz, Shiva lingam, chrysoprase, and a cube platonic solid. So here we are with the masculine sun energy, solar energy infusing us, activating our sacral chakra, our creative space, our playful child space, and to go play out in the sun and see what comes from that solar activation. All right, so let's see what we had here on the bottom of the deck. Rebirth. Oh, wow, and this is a card 7. So we have here 07 and 17, 717, very interesting. I was just having a conversation again with somebody about the significance of 717. So, wow, as you can see on this card, let me see if I can bring it up for you here. There are lots of iterations of the sacred geometry, the flower of life, the tree of life. We've got, oh yeah, let me just let you sit with that there. We've got the 7 rays, the color of activation. We've got across the top and then around it, the same iterations of the sacred geometry. And this is a master card, and it is about rebirth, transformation, reweaving, and reactivating. Okay, hello for the repeating messages about death and rebirth. All right, this is awesome. All right, I've not seen all the cards in this deck before, so it's very interesting. Some of the topics currently, like you can hear, see Metatron's cube, like the flower of life, the seed of life, the flower of life, the Merkaba, Metatron's cube, like all these are expansions of the sacred energy that begins to split from unification into its fullest expression. And we are actually the fullest expressions of the creator spark embodied in our physical vessels and in this particular reality. And we are the rays of consciousness. We are embodying and activating all of those rays as well. So I love that. This is the message of the moment. So let's see here. Okay. Transformation, reweaving, and reactivating. My spiritual and physical bodies are reborn and reweaved at cellular memory level. Okay, at cellular memory level, receiving codes to activate us and to activate our memory seed atoms. The Rebirth card acknowledges your need for transformation by reweaving, reactivating, and cleansing your DNA patterns. It is now time to let go of the old ways of thinking, release the belief systems that you have held on to for so long, to allow your body, mind, and spirit to shift in accordance with the inevitable change. As we ride the waves of an increase in universal vibration and frequency, as well as dealing with interrelationships within ourselves, family, and business, we need to keep up with the forever changing shifts that are becoming an everyday occurrence. If you have noticed an unhealthy change in your way of life, it is time to make changes now. And this is also interestingly on page 34, which is the 7. I love the repeating messages here. In the sacred geometry, rebirth brings with it all 8 dimensional frequencies. It represents duality on all levels, male and female, heaven and earth, light and dark, body and spirit, old and new belief patterns. The creation story, as depicted in this card, represents the division of cells within all creation. As the cells divide, we see the fundamental geometries which contain the all, from the Genesis pattern, egg of life, flower of life, fruit of life, and ultimately Metatron's cube. Let me see if I can bring that in closer for you here. So the Genesis pattern, egg of life, flower of life, fruit of life, and ultimately Metatron's cube. It holds within the 5 platonic solids, which are the building blocks of all life. Which are the building blocks of all life forms and hold the blueprint of our creation. The practical application is, by adapting to new frequencies and different ways of thinking and doing, we can open our hearts to new understandings and anchor fully into our body of light to support us in our inevitable evolutionary changes and shifts. It is now time to truly be conscious of looking after our body. It is a temple that houses our soul, and to make the most of the short time we get to spend as physical beings, we need to watch what we breathe and ingest. Stay away from toxic substances and be mindful of our emotional state of being. A more positive mindset will do wonders for your spirit and physical body. It is important to know and acknowledge that our thoughts are powerful. Thoughts are energy, and what we perceive, we create. As our bodies contain around 60% water, we have the ability to change our cellular structure as water stores memory. This has been proven through the work of Masaru Emoto. It is time to create a more harmonious lifestyle by eating more healthfully, exercising, changing our way of thinking, and meditating. Now, this is so interesting because here, when I'm in Playa del Carmen, like my lifestyle is so much healthier than it is at home. Excuse me, I don't have a car, so I walk everywhere. So in getting to the beach yesterday, I walked over a mile to get there, and I was definitely huffing and puffing, and it was hot. Even though it was nicer, I was still sweating, but I felt good. I knew that the beach would be at the end of it. And then when I walked home, I thought, do I want to take a taxi? No, just walk, right? Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, juices, smoothies, things that are not processed food. That's just like the way of life that I am able to support myself in here more easily than when I get home. Now, my challenge as my trip winds down is going to be how to incorporate and embody those similar shifts in a more dense frequency of being in the States. So I don't have a beach at the end of my pathway walking, but I do have yoga and I have other activities that I love that I'll need to make sure that I continue to hold this pattern that I have been implementing here into my reality when I go back. And of course, the Masaru Emoto experiments were talking about how the changes of the ice and water when it's frozen, it changes its shape based on the energy that is spoken to it and transmitted to it. So interesting that my dream was about water and about something of fear in the water of my emotions. So like sitting with what am I afraid of, because I don't want to create sharks and other manifestations from my fear-based thoughts in my emotional space, because then my reality fractal will embody that same pattern. I definitely don't want to do that. So I'm willing to go deep in myself and look at my fears and see what's really triggering me in order to shift my conversation with those things into more positive and loving vibrations, so that my created reality will then also hold the pattern of that loving energy that I've infused it with, right? So this is beautiful. The card numerology is either 44 or 8. The crystal suggestions are Herkimer diamond, Tibetan quartz, Euclase, selenite, singing quartz, and a platonic solid set. So I interestingly received a Herkimer diamond for my birthday as well from one of my soul sisters. So I have it with me here in Playa. And so this evening, I'm definitely going to pull it out and meditate with it. All right. The animal medicine is the snake and the phoenix. All right, for the phoenix here again in multiple messages today. And the essence is snake medicine essence, condor, moonate key, and starlight essence. I think these are products that the Phoenix Gateways offers. So very, very interesting messages then from 717 to come up from the Sacred Geometry deck. All right, so wow. So to finalize that, I want to go ahead and get a Galactic Heritage card, just one for this particular time. And we'll see what energy the Galactics wish to communicate to us about the solar activations and this opportunity for death and rebirth, and to consciously create from our inner childlike state of joy and bliss to consciously create something from that place that will be beautiful and high vibing, not only for us to experience, but for others to collectively experience as well. So let's see here. I'll put the links to these decks in the description box below. They are affiliate links, and so if you purchase a deck from Amazon from that link, it does provide a small revenue for the library, which enables me to continue to purchase these decks and to provide services and guidance through them. So I appreciate your support through that method. And if you would like to have a personal reading, I do offer those, and you can find the link to my booking in the description box below as well. So we can see what wants to be activated within you and what your spiritual guidance is for any particular moment when you are led. All right, one more here. This has got a lot of cards in this particular deck, so I'm slipping and sliding around as I do it. Ooh, I just don't have enough room here. right. Self-observance. And I am going to actually wind up taking 2 cards because I keep hearing top and bottom. This is 67. 67 is also 13, which again is the number of death and rebirth, the Scorpio transformation point, right? So this card is interesting. It's purple and yellow. It looks like we have like a scribe or a scroll looking here at a record. So examining ourselves and all that we have been, and the record of our consciousness here. It's very, very interesting, the art on this particular deck. I'm just kind of sitting with it, and it's a yellow solar. And of course, we have Lyra as the consciousness, or Lyra, Lyran, energy consciousness coming through. So let's see here what 67 says. My goodness. All right, let's see if I can get this set up for us. After much struggle as a species, the Lyrans eventually healed themselves by honestly and objectively observing themselves. At first, this can be a difficult task, but in the end, it leads to powerful transformation as long as it is done without judgment. The power of self-observation is essential for any person or species who seeks transformation. Begin this process now. Just observe. See your habits and patterns without the need to fix anything. It is an alchemical process that produces spiritual evolution on a profound level. The love and wisdom of the Lyran forefathers can guide you. Just ask for help. Now, this is interesting because my last reading with the Mayan Oracle also was about using the mirror and using it to reflect yourself in others, and to have the process of non-judgment in that. So this is being emphasized over this series of messages. This Lyran time stream represents the Lyran culture after they healed their karma and the challenges of the past when they were a young species. These challenges of the young Lyran species are represented in earlier cards. When a culture enters this phase of species maturity, it is like a renaissance. Consciousness begins to shift and they begin entering the galactic community from a place of respect and with the vision of the unified whole of creation rather than individual planets or species. This card is very important because Earth has just begun making its first tiny steps towards species maturity like their Lyran forefathers. One of the most essential aspects of expressing this maturity is the ability to see one's self clearly, to see the negative as well as the positive, and embrace it all as a valuable growth lesson. It requires maturity to see the things that need to be changed about yourself and then implement those sometimes painful changes in order to experience a rebirth. At this time in Earth's development, this ability of self-observance is crucial for both the human species as a whole and for individuals. Without this honest self-evaluation, neither a species nor a person can fully transform. All right, self-observation and us as a planetary aspect, we are getting an observation opportunity to see how we are behaving, to see how we treat each other, to see what we allow to happen to us and what we allow to happen to others, all in the names of the things that we believe. And certainly that's personal about what I allow to happen to me and allow myself to experience based on my beliefs about myself. And certainly my dream about the sharks then is definitely telling me to look deeply about those things that are triggering and that are fearful, that are uncomfortable for me, but to do so without the judgment of or shaming myself for those things that I do discover. Scorpio is a perfect time to go deep within the emotional waters of oneself. So this is also on page 106, which here we have again a 7 energy. So 7 and 13 being repeated. All right. So for the last, so we've got the building of the message here, right? With these cards. So let's see what's on the bottom of the deck here. Self-sacrifice, Vega. Wow, this is an interesting image. It's like pieces of this being are being like cut away. It looks rather like a painful card here. This is not does not look like comfortable. So let's see what we have in terms of the messages of self-sacrifice from the vegan experience. Card number 21, excuse me, which is a 3. And the vegan here. All right. The ancient vegan spirit was one of selflessness. Vegans were known to give their lives for others as a gesture of extreme love and compassion and in support of community. However, it could sometimes be taken too far, as when self-sacrifice hurts the self so much that the person cannot remain strong and healthy in order to continue to be of service. This is a deep karmic pattern that many people have. Examine your patterns of self-sacrifice and learn what level is appropriate and when it becomes self-sabotage. Take care of yourself as you would a precious gift, then you can give more to others. That is one thing that is something that I've definitely dealt with in my experience, is the idea that is repeatedly taught of, you know, you lay down your life for your fellow man, right? But then in the same token, they say, you know, a drowning person will drown you if they latch onto you, if in their struggle as you are attempting to rescue them. So to be mindful that you don't end up losing your life while you're trying to be of service. Yet at the same time, we're taught that if you're a loving person, well, then you would not even think about laying your life down for another person, because that's what love would call you to do. So it's like the interesting paradox of how to be in that healthy. And we always go back to the airplane analogy, which says, you know, you put your own mask on first and then that of your child in the case of an emergency, right? So the suffering servant paradigm, which says that, you know, my happiness ultimately is not as important as your happiness. As long as I helped you get your happiness together, even though I was like sad or troubled and not truly happy myself, well, then my reward will come when I get to heaven. I don't need to worry about here on the earthly plane. God will bless me later. And we're healing some of that extreme polarity in terms of how we're learning that, you know, healed people help other people healed. You know, healthy people are better in a better position to help others. You can't do the best that you can do if you're burnt out and if you're not eating right because you're trying to make sure others eat, if you're financially insecure because you're trying to help other people be financially stable, if you're in emotional crisis because you're helping other people try to manage their emotional crisis. All of those things are the unhealthy patterns of self-sacrifice, but it can be very hard to clear, because honestly, you do feel somewhat guilty at times then by saying no. And as a recovering codependent, and I say that like with honesty because I've been to therapy and learned about codependency and my patterns of people pleasing and self-sacrifice that were inherently unhealthy for me during my time married and in my earlier years, right? So working and doing the work to learn how to have healthy boundaries and to not take on the problems of others in the world to the point where it harms myself. Absolutely, I can relate to healing the self-sacrifice paradigm when it is unhealthy. And that's not to say that I'm not a giving and supportive and healthy person. I just do it differently and use the energy of divine love that flows through me, it pours through me, and I love myself, and then that puts me in a better position to love others as well. So here it says that this is a very old pattern deep within many people, and it exemplifies the nature of vegan consciousness from the ancient days. The ancient vegan mystics sometimes used severe practices to develop their spiritual skills. These practices were meant to burn away the ego. Often self-sacrifice can be a noble act that furthers spiritual development, but sometimes it can be an act that reflects a lack of self-worth, whereby sacrifice becomes a way to atone for perceived failings. If this card appears in a reading, it is encouraging you to look at your relationship to sacrifice and self-worth. In what parts of your life do you sacrifice your deepest needs? How are you furthering old unhealthy patterns by maintaining this behavior? Or can you sacrifice some of your ego's desires as a way to grow spiritually? The early spiritual ascetics from Vega and even those on present day Earth eventually have to evolve beyond self-sacrifice. Know that it can be a powerful teaching tool, but it doesn't have to be a way of life. This card asks you to examine deeply your self-worth and how you sacrifice your integrity in this life. Confronting this painful knowledge can set you free. Wow. All right. That is deep. Come in with the 1-2 punch, right? So to do some work with that, and it even looks kind of like she's holding a sunflower or a sun there in the image. Very interesting. So definitely going in deep. I'm going to look to see where the patterns and practices of unhealthy self-sacrifice are still playing out into the way I view myself in terms of my worthiness, my value, and if I am being enough, the whole idea of being enough of whatever it is that I have thought that I should be. So, wow, this is an interesting reading. These solar activations that are bringing in this opportunity for us to look at where we are playing out the paradigms of self-sacrifice and worthiness, blaming, atoning for, making amends to, and then how we're going to create new healthy structures and to reweave and reactivate as we transform from these old, heavier frequencies into the newer, higher vibrational reality that we have an opportunity to shift into. So, all right. I just thank you for joining me for this message today. And I hope that you have a chance to really sit with any energies that are activated in you over the next few days. I'm sure you'll have opportunities to have the mirror experience of something in your reality showing you to yourself, rather than seeing, oh, I didn't know that about that person. I didn't know they were like this. I never would have thought it would be this, whatever. Take that for yourself. Like, I didn't know this about me. this gives me an opportunity to realize a previously hidden dynamic of myself that is being reflected back to me in the mirror of the world that I am seeing and experiencing around me, from my personal relationships to the ones that I observe in my relationship with my community and my fellow human beings on this planet. So I thank each of you for being here, and I'm going to go out and get a few more solar rays as I stroll down the street this afternoon here and meditate on all that is unfolding. So to each of you, you are another me in Lakesh, and I honor the light that is with you as it reflects the same divine light within me. Namaste.